Now that we've got the base powered and we got a little bit of organization stuff sorted out, let's see what we gotta do next. Greetings and salutations, Relaxed Gamer Nation, and welcome back to Space Engineers, Back to Basics with me, a Relaxed Gamer. Hello, how are you? I am fantastic. I did a thing. I made a to-do list. Hello. So, this is mainly for me because I don't record these back to back. And sometimes I get into the game and I'm like, what was I doing? What should I be doing? You know, this, that, etc. So this is what my to-do list says right now, is we have to upgrade to an assembler and likely building a rover for drilling. So currently we have our little basic assembler, which has done us a decent amount. But I think we have moved beyond this thing. It works, it does what we needed, but now we gotta let it go. Because we have our basic materials. We have a fair amount of basic materials. Let's see here. Inventory. Show. Hide empty, thank you. We have a bit of stuff. We got some nickel, silicon, iron, etc. that are in the basic refinery right now. They will be brought into the system via this sorter, which is set to basically accept anything. Well, pretty much accept anything. I did not want to put a drain all on this because it's going to constantly cycle everything in the base. The only other way I could possibly do that is by adding another sorter to this list, to this section. So this sorter will stop us from getting stone, which I think it's doing right now. Yep. It stops us from getting stone, and then the next one would stop us from taking components. So that might actually be a good idea. Now, without programming blocks and without the ability to script, which this does not have the ability to script at the moment, because that is under experimental, and although I have unlocked experimental, most of you have probably not done it and are wondering, oh, what to do. So sorters are the thing. Programming blocks are useless to us right now because we don't have scripts enabled on this world. So the only way to change that is to go into our basic settings of the world, which we can do before we load up the save. And if you've accomplished everything you needed to accomplish to unlock experimental mode, then you can do that via the save file information. I'm not going to show you it right now, but it's there. It's under the options. We have our power system up and running. We have a battery that is charged in about 26 minutes. That's currently with nothing going on. And I think we're going to modify this thing so that we can actually do a drain all on here and avoid components being cycled through the system on a constant basis. So let's do that. First off, let's pull out our fancy tools, and I'm going to turn off creative mode. As I mentioned previously, the reason why I have creative mode tools on is so I can do our spectator camera stuff. Other than that, because right now, if I press F7, F8, it won't go into any of my spectator modes. While with the creative mode tools on, I can go F8, and I can go and do our spectator here. And do things like do a close-up on my helmet. Hey. But without spectator mode, I can't do that. Once I get back into regular view, oh, no, don't want to do that. Then I no longer can access a spectator mode. So that's the reason why you usually see me in creative mode at the very beginning.
Inventory full.
We're just going to move a few things around here. Get some metal going down. Get some metal going down, down, down. Oh, there it is. Like, where did I put it? There it is. Now, you've noticed that I'm really not welding these together. I might do that in the future, but it's not necessary for what I'm doing here. Because we have cobalt, we have our tier 1 tools. Oh, there was stuff in there. Whoops. Oopsie daisies. And then I'm just going to get rid of this conveyor tube. And we're going to put a conveyor sorter, not a sorter, just a tube in here. Okay. Now we need to do the same thing over here. We're going to remove this. And put that over here. Unfortunately, in basic space engineers, we don't have fancy tube systems. If we want to do anything which has more than one connection point on either side, we have to use these conveyors. It's just how it is. It's something you have to get used to or find mods in order to deal with it. Which there are a crap ton of mods available to do that. Yeah, that should be fine. I will probably put another battery in here. And this is just going to be a little bit of back and forth. I will bring you back in a moment. Alrighty, let's talk about conveyor sorters. Conveyor sorters are great. They were a wonderful thing that was introduced into Space Engineers, I don't know, 3rd year into its alpha release or open alpha release or some crap like that. I am not entirely sure. But conveyors have a simple couple of simple settings here. Of course, you have your name as you all, and they have drain all. Now, drain all is great, but you have to tailor them to take effect of what you want to drain. Otherwise, it's going to constantly cycle through the base until it finds an end, which is a waste of power and processing power. Not like refinery processing power, but computer. The PC that you're playing on or Xbox that you're playing on's processing power. Because the more items you have going on at once, the more computer power you're going to need in order for it to calculate all that stuff. So whatever, that's a computer thing. It really doesn't have a whole lot to do with this, except Space Engineers is a leech when it comes to resources on your computer. It's gotten better since the beginning. It's gotten progressively better throughout the time. But anyway, conveyor sorters. They have the drain all function, which is great. They have blacklist and they have whitelist. In this case, I am preventing the first sorter here from pulling any stone into the system. And I don't have drain all on, so it's not actively trying to pull all that stuff in the system on a regular basis. The next conveyor sorter is the one that is on the other side here. So that is this conveyor sorter over here. This one's set up to pull all the ingots out of the system, and it's on Drano. So when the refinery refines the ore into ingots, this will actively pull the ingots into our cargo system. The third sorter, which is this one, is set up on a white list to only pull ore. Now, the order may or may not matter, but what I like to do is I like to filter out the stuff that I don't want to go into it before I filter the stuff that I want to go into it. So stone is considered ore, but if you don't have that blacklist stone filter, it's going to pull the stone from the survival kit, which, as we learned before, is 30%, well, is a lot more efficient, about 30% more efficient than the basic refineries. This will change once we get into the big boy refineries, because the big boy refineries have the same efficiency rating and more when you start adding modules in it than as the survival kit. It's also faster, depending on what mods you put in it and all that stuff. It's faster out of the gate before you put mods on it. So I like to filter out the stuff I don't want to go into it first, and then any stuff that gets past this filter will try and go through this filter. Now this filter is saying it only wants ore. Sure, you could go a little more complicated and you could blacklist everything you don't want to go through here, but that's a serious time sink, and it takes time. So there's our sorter system. That's why the double sorter. It's filtering out the stone first, and then it's pulling anything that is not stone, but is ore through this one. It probably sounds a lot more complicated than it is, but that's just how it is. There's bases that are built on sorting everything into certain nodes, if you would. So maybe you have a base where you're getting a lot of iron or whatnot, or you have a refinery which has efficiency or yield modules on it to get the most out of platinum, silver, and gold, and uranium. And that's where those sorters come in handy. But understanding the sorters can be mind-boggling. But anyway, so let's get back to what we were originally doing in the first place here, and that is upgrading this basic assembler to a refinery. So to do that, we're first going to take everything out of the basic assembler, which I've already done, and then we're going to grind it down. No, we're not going to do that. Why are we not going to do that? Because we still need to build stuff for our assembler. So we have our assembler here, and the best way to actually put it into our build planner is just to go up to a conveyor port here and middle mouse button. Now it's saying it cannot withdraw the stuff that it needs for that, but it put it into our build planner, so we know exactly what we need. Once we've done that, then we go back over to the same cargo container, and we shift, middle mouse click. That will put everything from the build planner, everything that we need from the build planner, into the build queue. We want to make sure we have that stuff ready first before we start tearing down this basic assembler, because there's certain things on the basic that the basic assembler can make that's needed for the standard assembler. As you can see, it's pulling out a whole bunch of plates. It doesn't matter what order you put this in. I like to go from smallest to largest. And then once that's finished, then we can tear this thing down and put in a good assembler. Now, there's a few things that we gotta consider here when we're putting in an assembler. I'm gonna turn creativity tools on here, and I'm going to show you something. So, we have our assembler. It has 4 sides to it. Well, 6 if you include the top and bottom, but those are our connector sides. There are connectors down on the bottom level, or the top level, or wherever, because the assembler is here, it's bottom. But these ports, see these small yellow squares? They can hold what we call expansion modules, or just modules. So speed modules, yield modules, and power efficiency modules. None of this stuff we really need to worry about right at this moment, but it will be important in the future. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to shut down the weather because I just don't want it interrupting me at the moment. We're going to just do a little bit of a mirror base here. I will delete this shortly after. That's why I'm not connecting it to our system. So the best way of setting up your assembler is to give it space. There's a few ways we can do this. We can do it like this, where we have our bottom conveyor hooked into assembler. And then on those assemblers, these module spots, we can put these modules in. As you can see, the modules are large. They're quite large. They take up a full block space. So you want to space your assemblers out to think about the future. You don't necessarily need to do that right away, right off the bat, but think about the future when you're putting down your assemblers. There's a few ways that we can do these. Let's do something like this. We can do an assembler like this, for example. We have our little walkway zone here. And then we can put our modules wherever we want and still have headroom. The assembler orientation really does not matter. The only thing that really matters is if you have free ports. Now, sometimes you want something more compact. You don't want to deal with that. So just do it how you want, but think when it comes to the larger base, how do you want to be working your assemblers? Because because of the size of what is involved here, we're looking at about 3 by 3 by 3 to actually fit this in. So just think about that. You can access the assemblers from wherever, so it doesn't really matter. You can set up sorters to move all the components that you make in the assembler to wherever, or scripts, which we can't do in this world because of the world settings. So yeah, now let us get rid of our assembler here. We're going to go into the basic assembler and we're just going to move everything over to our cargo system. And then we're going to delete our basic assembler.
Inventory full.
So the stuff, delete our assembler. What do we got? Okay. So it's still in our build planner, so all we have to do is middle mouse button click for that. I am not going to deal with the efficiency because this base is just, for the most part, a temporary base. So the only thing I am really concerned about, this is my basic starting base. The assembler port. That matters. Now we can do it this way. Doesn't really matter. Or we can do it this way. As long as that port is facing the cargo container. Parts in, take parts out, take more parts in, and then just finish it up. So I'm hoping that this episode was relatively well informed, or was informative. Well informed. Informative. It's probably not what most people might want to do. I like to try and work on organization as much as possible, especially when I'm dealing with the vanilla game, and sorters are a great way of doing that. We have our power system in play, fully recharged battery in 16 minutes. This other one in about 2 hours. We got our larger assembler, which allows us to produce other things like, I don't know, superconductors, thruster components, gravity and reactor components, medical components, maybe? Maybe? I just want to double check that. I think we can do medical components without the... Yeah, medical components you can build in the basic assembler. So between the two assemblers, there's a few differences. We can build explosives in the general assembler, reactor components, thruster components, superconductors, gravity components, and that's about the only other things that we can build with this regular assembler. These are the more advanced components. They're not necessary for the first start of your game, but the assembler is faster than the basic assembler. So the sooner you can get this up, the more you will enjoy yourself. Anyway, I hope this episode was informative. I do not know how long it's going to be. It's probably longer than I intended, as is usually the case. And I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao!